And good morning. Good Wednesday morning. Which I'm changing the title on the other YouTube channel. I'm only going to be on for about an hour. Today's a heavy day. I'm going to wait for the usual suspects to come into chat. But I have an idea. Something new, something different. Well, the weather and the news might be something I do every morning now. A little like update. The weather, we all know what's going on with the coastal areas of North Carolina and even up the East Coast because of the effects of Hurricane Erin. We're talking really massive waves in some areas, rip tide, rip currents, heavy rain for us here. But thank God it's not making landfall, which is the main thing. But I think every morning, I'm going to see by the reaction, what's going on? I want to see what some of my friends think in chat. Maybe we focus on a topic of a day, just for a little while. A newsworthy topic from a moderate point of view. Call it an independent point of view because of all the nonsense that's out there. I think rationality is important. Oh God, stop it. My God, I'm so busy today. My day didn't even really start yet. My gosh, it starts so early. I'm just waking up. Now, would I do this on TikTok? I don't think so. Maybe I should. I don't know about that. But I think it's time for the nonsense to stop. With all the disinformation, misinformation out there, it's just beyond. It's worse than scratching one's head. It's just insane. But today I'm going to focus on the economy because that's a main concern for so many people. And there are different articles I'm referencing to show you the different perspectives and how misleading they are. Because right now, if you don't think these tariffs are not going to hurt every person pretty much in this country, then you are definitely mistaken. There's just no doubt. I've been saying it before they're saying it. Wait till September, October. It's already happening now. Even eggs are up. The infamous eggs that everybody brought up all the time. Eggs. Like fucking eggs were made of gold. Well, guess what? Everything's going up in the supermarket. Meat is up. Beef. Poultry. Everything is going up. Coffee. Vegetables. Everything is going up. And it's only going to get worse. Because a lot of these corporations said, okay, we'll eat the costs, because that was the discussion that the administration had with these corporations. Eat some of the cost. We'll give you this beautiful bill tax break, but you're going to have to eat some of these costs so that it doesn't affect the consumer. Well, guess what they're saying? Bullshit. They did it for a few months. they're not going to hold out much longer. Home Depot already made that clear. And Home Depot, the owner of Home Depot, is a big supporter of President Trump. Donated to his campaign. So, just to put this in some perspective, food prices spiked. This was a couple days ago. I talked about this a few days ago. Fresh and dry vegetable price here in July. Everything is going up. This is just one. 40%. 40% in the month of July. In 1 month. Now, what does this have to do with? Now, a rational person like me, despite what they were saying a few years ago, blaming everything on Biden, inflation, it has to do with numerous things. Drought, and I said this then and I'll say it now. Because a lot of people are going to want to jump on him for the tariffs. And that's fair, but there are other reasons involved. But people were so blind to blame Biden. So guess what? We're going to blame Trump this time. The same way you blame Biden for the inflation and the post-COVID, the supply and demand, the shortages, trying to get back. They rise prices, never brought them down. There's a lot involved. And also, let's say with the eggs, avian flu. There's a lot of factors. If people look at do the research and see what causes things to happen. And it's just mind-boggling how people are so ignorant when the shoe's on the other foot. Okay? It's just a fact. So here it says, the president tariffs have finally stopped pinching Americans. Food prices have spiked. We know that. Everything's going up. Just not everything in your grocery store pretty much is going up. And I'm going to reference another article from a conservative state to show you what they're trying to spin, which is bullshit. And I'll call on it in a second. And if you don't think inflation is going to go up affected by these tariffs, people are... It is costing people more money to go to the grocery store to shop, period. Whether they drink coffee, eggs, anything, meat, vegetables, anything. It's all going up. Everything. I'm going to show you what Utah's saying. Salt Lake. So grocery prices, this is as of 19th. So this is yesterday. From a Utah news station. Grocery prices soar as tariffs impact everyday staples. Now this is kind of, Salt Lake is more of a Democratic city. Utah is Republican. But Salt Lake, the latest consumer price index reveals that grocery prices in July rose 2.2%. Okay. As grocery prices continue to climb. Everyday staples have seen significant cost increases, with coffee up nearly 15%, ground beef rising just over 11%, and egg prices, despite a drop due to avian flu, still up more than 16%. There go your eggs. What is anybody saying now? Crickets. I don't hear it. I don't hear it. The same people that brought eggs into every conversation are quiet now. And the prices are going up more. Who picks the feed? Where does the feed come from to feed the animals on farms? And what's happening there? Look what they say here as a little side note. And then the steel implemented the tariffs, blah, 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 blah. The tariffs are going to contribute to higher costs for canned foods and beverages. Everything is going to affect everything. Tools that come from China, clothing, toys, you name it. Everything. Everything is going to go up. It's connected to like everything, the power tools. We're going to get into it more. Like I said, every morning I'm going to pick on a topic and talk about it in the news, because if you watch CNN or Fox, they spin it. We're going to just put it out there flat out and from my perspective, and trying to be fair and balanced in the middle. None of this bullshit. Sugarcoating it or making it sound like it's the end of the world. Truth matters. Because right now, we don't know where to look for truth. Look at this line. However, there is a silver lining in the U.S. food supply chain. Only about 10% of the grocery store food is imported, which means a smaller portion is subject to further tariffs. Not quite. So 10% comes in. Okay? So you're saying it comes from here, right? From the farmers. Well, let's look at this. Farm workers' dilemma. The hidden cost of pursuing the American dream. Look at them. Getting ready to deport them. They are going to farms, raiding farms, and picking up the undocumented and shipping them away. They're afraid to go to work. We're going to get into more of this in a second. How much they contribute to the economy. Because they're not all criminals like we hear. Or what we thought that they were going to go after, the drug cartels, the gangs. But no, they're getting people from fucking Home Depot, homes, businesses, farms, infrastructure, construction, landscapers, people that contribute to this economy. Well, we got to replace them, right? With Americans, I guess, right? At a higher wage. Which that means let's just think about this in a rational, logical way. So we're going to get rid of all of them from the work infrastructure that they're a part of and contribute to our economy. And I got the numbers. We're going to get into that in a second. But we're talking about the food right now, agriculture, and everything else. It's just insane. So the U.S. agriculture depends on immigrants. Now, I say this. And they won't do it, even though he mentioned it, but he changed his mind hours after he got flack from MAGA, giving him pressure. Temporary work visas is amnesty. No, it's not. Temporary work visas are exactly that. They're working on our farms. They're here temporarily on a work visa. Bottom line. Look at this. While the exact number of immigration farm workers lacking legal status is hard to pinpoint, most estimates put the number between 30 and 50% of the workforce in agriculture. Some region reports even higher percentage. According to the USDA, now remember, the government is trying to control numbers. If they don't agree with the numbers, they fire the person. They're trying to manipulate the numbers, what goes out to the public. Because they want to make it look sweeter and happier. Happy, happy, joy, joy. No. They're trying to control everything they can, the narrative out there. It's totally controlled now. If you thought government was crazy before, it's even worse now. Because they're really trying to control the narrative. According to the USDA, who knows what's going to happen to the USDA, because once they put numbers like that, they're fired. About 42% of hired crop farm workers in the U.S. lack legal status. Oh, that's almost half the people that work in our farms. So when Utah says, oh, but we only depend 10% on imports coming in for fruits and vegetables. Yeah, but you're not talking about how the other effect is on our farms where people are disappearing, the workforce, because of what's going on. So when you talk about a story, give the whole story, not just part of it to make it look like it's sweet. Oh, but we only depend on 10% of imports for agriculture. But look what's going on here. So higher wages, let's just say we hire all Americans to work on the farms, and Medicaid welfare workers who are going to quit after a few days. They're not going to do that job. They'd rather quit and say, fuck this, and we're not doing it. Because they don't want to get their hands dirty. That's hard labor work. So you're going to pay, how much do you think they get paid on the farm to do the work they do on the farms? Compared to hiring Americans now at minimum wage. The farmers are going to have to pay more to get their crop. Which means, who pays for that? The consumer. obviously. You know, there's a lot of agricultural products that go overseas too. They're saying, screw you, we're not dealing with you anymore. So now the farmers are going to lose out possibly on soy and other products that are sold overseas because it's too expensive with the tariffs. Okay? Look at this. That's about 1 million workers that are not legally authorized to work in the U.S. The National Milk Producers Federation estimates that more than half of all U.S. dairy workers are immigrants. Dairy, milk. Retail milk prices would double, costing the U.S. economy more than $32 billion just in milk. So when you hear all these numbers they put out that sound rosy and beautiful, look at the impacts that it does in the negative. They're not telling you those numbers, how it's affecting industry, laying off people. Some farms may have to shut down. It's going to cost them too much. So you don't be surprised if you see a farmer's aid bill come out, big one, which is more money to cover this. Don't be surprised. So this goes into farmers live in fear too. His plan, who knows what he does? Every day he changes his mind. And we know that. This is serious stuff. Now let's go back. We saw this already. But there's more important stuff. This. When can tariff-driven price increases hit shoppers? It's happening now. Now. Now here's the catch that I've been talking about. Because people haven't really been feeling the effects and it hasn't bumped up so much is because companies stockpiled. They filled everything up as much as they could with inventory. Well, guess what? That inventory is now dwindling. Now they're going to have to pay the real effects of the tariffs. So by September, October is when you're going to really see an uptick. Because now they're forced to pay. Because they're going to hand the cost down to the consumer. They're not going to eat it, as I'm going to show you in a second. Because remember, they had a meeting. Trump called Bezos. Oh, please don't put on Amazon that you're going to raise the prices due to the tariffs. And he contacted a lot of people about that. Don't eat the costs. I'll give you a tax break. I'm going to make it nice for you. I'm going to give you something, which costs trillions. Again, in the deficit. And that, by the way, the deficit is growing every day because of the shit that's going on right now. It's even worse than people thought. And hello, KJ. So now the companies are saying, you know what? We can only eat so much. We can't do this forever. But stockpiled goods will eventually run dry just as companies will find their bottom lines crunched by diminishing profits. Just what I said. Here's a quote. Once everybody runs out of stockpile inventory, everybody will be losing money. And we forget about the professors and the experts. Nobody's an expert except for the administration who are incompetent. A lot of them are just plain out incompetent. We got to remember, and I mentioned this, the president has been talking about tariffs since he was a Democrat in the 80s. He's obsessed with it. And it's an obsession. The man has filed bankruptcy numerous times, so the person that we're depending on to grow the economy doesn't even know how to run a business. Truly. Truly. But people have faith in him, like some prophet. I don't understand it. Okay, so far with the tariffs, tariffs put forward so far by Trump are expected to cost an average of household of an additional $2,400 this year. Oh my God, was Kamala right? She might have been right on a lot of things, huh? After all. That's crazy for me to even say that because I'm not a fan. I'm being real. But my God. And of course, he's going to sugarcoat it. Wholesale prices soared much faster than economists expected last month. We've seen that with the vegetables, blah, 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 all kinds of stuff. See, a surge of imports ahead of the tariffs, they stockpiled, helped companies preserve relatively low prices, but those products are running out. The ultimate inflation impact would be felt by consumers as individual firms turn to products imported after the tariffs took hold. That's true. True. Every company has a different level of stock in their warehouse, and they're running out of those different rates. That's true. Now the shit's going to hit the fan. We're getting close to what some companies will run out. People will start to feel it. That is the bottom line here. What happens to small businesses? How do they stay afloat? How do they charge their customers more to stay alive or shut down or lay off people? It's one thing for the Home Depots and the Lowe's and the Walmarts and all these other big chains to survive. But for the small businesses, this is a disaster. A lot of them are going to shut down. They just can't afford it. And remember, look what happened when Walmart was created. And some of these bigger stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, a lot of the mom and pop smaller business hardware stores or anything related to any of the things you could find in Walmart shut down because they couldn't compete with the prices that Walmart was offering. So a lot of the mom and pop stores shut down. Well, what do you think is going to happen now? Small businesses are going to have major issues staying open or possibly keeping their employees and laying off people. Forget about how it's going to hurt people throughout the country. Forget about people who depend on SNAP. Because even if you do get SNAP, the cost of living increase is not going to go up under this administration. It's not like, like every year they have the COLA, cost of living adjustment, where they add maybe 3% to Social Security people or disability people. They're not going to raise that up. This administration raising COLA up by 3%, I'll be shocked. So though the cost of living is going to go up, there's not going to be any adjustments for that cost of living. Meanwhile, prices are going up. Even if you have SNAP and you're not one of those people that get cut off of it, you're still not going to get enough because of the rising prices for food. It's not. If your grocery bill, if you usually spend $100 for groceries, it may be $140 now. And it may go up even higher, especially if you're a coffee drinker. Forget about eggs. Eggs is going up too. Everything's going up. Everything. Meat, poultry, everything is going up. And be careful with the radioactive shrimp in Walmart. Great value. Don't buy that shrimp. I was like, what? Radioactive shrimp? Anyway. So, let's see what they're saying the time if they say it here. And yeah, fresh produce will rot. It'll just go stale. Oh my God. Okay, look, some major retail chains, remember, these big corporations had meetings with the administration not to raise their prices. He told them, don't raise your prices. The president told them, don't raise your prices. Swallow the cost. You know what they're saying now? No, we're not. No, we're not. So guess who gets it? Consumer. Some major retail chains, including Walmart, have warned of price increases as a means of offsetting tariff-related costs. They're not eating it. Home Depot already announced it. Just in time for the freaking holidays, too. Okay. La, 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 la. Look, companies may try to hold off raising prices to hang on to their customers, but they can only do this for so long. Back-to-school shoppers may notice a jump in apparel prices as importers weather tariffs. Where does the clothing come from? Majority clothing? China? Sneakers, China. Electronics, China. Power tools, China. Appliances, China. Almost pots and pans in the kitchen, China. Do you realize how much stuff we get from China? Now, some will argue, well, that's why we need to make companies here in the United States. That's all fine and dandy. But you still have to compete with their market, with their lower wages. Even if you build it here, what do you think? Are people here going to get $5 an hour? $7 an hour? Minimum wage? Still going to cost you to produce here. Even if you manufacture here, you still have to compete with foreign markets. And especially in the height of buying stuff on the internet. I mean, it's going to take a while to get manufacturing rebuilt here, which was already going on in the past administration, despite what you might have heard. So yeah, this is bad. This is from a conservative newspaper. The New York Post is a conservative newspaper in New York. Home Depot warns it may raise prices because of Trump tariffs. If they do it, who owns Trump? Look, I could just search it. The person who owns Home Depot is a big-time Trump supporter. And yet they're making this announcement that they have to raise prices. If they do it, everybody else is going to do it. Lowe's is going to do it because a lot of their stuff is, remember, construction related. Lumber, steel, power tools. Where does all this come from? It gets hit with the tariffs. Mostly every product in a Home Depot store like that is going to get hit hard. What's going on? People better prepare. That's what I say. You better buy stuff now because it's going to get worse. Buy it now. Marketing, look. What I was saying earlier. And this is a conservative paper. And even they're saying it. They can't sugarcoat it. Because the guy, the CEO, they're talking about it. Home Depot warned that it may raise prices on select merchandise in order to offset the cost of the Trump administration's tariffs on imports, making a reversal from the retailer's earlier stance against trade-related pricing adjustments because they agreed with the president not to do it. What I just told you a few minutes ago. They all met. We're not going to raise prices. We'll swallow it. They're saying, screw that. No way are we eating these costs. So maybe in the beginning it was nice to talk about it, but when it comes up to the money, they're saying, screw this. We're raising prices. We're not going to eat this. And that's what everybody's going to do. They're all going to do it. Prices are going to go up across the board for everything because of these tariffs. And remember, a lot of those key things that were said during the campaign, I'm going to lower prices first day or whatever. Are you kidding me? It's getting worse than ever. Not just eggs, but everything. Matter of fact, today the oil market prices went up. It has to do with the U.S. There's a whole thing with that, but I'm not going to get into the oil right now. That's another thing to keep an eye on. So it's going up. And look at this. Economic headwinds and elevated interest rates have prompted many homeowners to delay substantial remodeling projects. It costs, I said this at the beginning of the year, buy your wood, buy your lumber. I told people this. I actually did. Buy those supplies at the beginning of the year because once these tariffs hit, all that shit's going to cost a lot more money. And it is. Lumber, wood, anything construction. If you're doing a big project, why do you think I did my house last year? Because I heard the rhetoric. I said, oh my God, if I do this next year, it's going to cost me maybe double. Thank God I did. Thank God I put solar on my roof last year. Because of the nonsense regarding the big, beautiful bill with solar. Oh, that is just disgusting what they did. It's just I mean, do people really know what this big beautiful bill affected and how bad it is? It's bad. It was great for the people who make money and are wealthy. I mean, give me a fucking break. What about everyday working people? Or lower income people who are struggling to try to get ahead in life? You just made it so much harder for those people. It makes me pissed. And people bought into this nonsense. So yeah. The remodeling project opting instead for minor improvements that don't require financing. You know, everybody wants to do it out of pocket. They don't want to do the financing because of the interest rates. That's why the president is trying to emphasize lowering interest rates. But this economy doesn't have the strength to do that. It just doesn't. Not with the way shit is heading in the wrong direction. That's not the way you fix it. Though he thinks it does. So that's the whole thing. And yes, some relief on mortgage rates would help because then people will refinance. Their mortgage would come down to a lower rate if they, on a mortgage rate, and they'll save money that way. So that does make sense. Right now, I think it's at 6.8. Lower it down to even 6. That will help a lot of people. It would. Because people will then, refinance and get that rate down, which adds up to money. See, for me and a lot of homeowners, it's not just about the fucking mortgage rate. It's about the school taxes. It's about the property taxes. It's about the insurance for the home. There's a lot of other things that are involved here too. It's not just mortgage rates. It would help, definitely, but there are other expenses when you own a home. The school here, and I could be one of these clowns that say, well, I don't have kids. Why should I be paying more taxes for school? I could say something stupid like that. But you're also helping your community. Property tax, all the town tax, it just adds all up. But getting to more of this. Okay, I think I did this one with the farm workers. Yeah, we hit that one. This is a big part of it. People don't realize. Forget about this bullshit narrative that Steve Miller put out there, because he's the one that's pushing a lot of these issues with the president. It's all Stephen Miller. This is coming from him. I would put money on it that it's coming from this clown to do everything that you're seeing right now, the militarization on our streets. In blue states, not in red, but in blue. 6 GOP states are sending the National Guard to D.C. Red states now are getting involved? This is not good. I want to see when the red states get military, like Tennessee, on their streets to clean up their crime. I don't think that's going to fly over too well with a Republican governor, will it? This is the hypocrisy that's going on right now. Okay, just look at these numbers. And you're going to see, look at this. And this is the last one that's documented, and maybe we can click on this, and I can go back to it. Tax payments by undocumented immigrants. Undocumented immigrants paid $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. That's almost $100 billion. Bye-bye. Just think about this. Just think about this. It's insane how much they contributed to the economy just in taxes. Forget about housing and everything else. They pay $25.7 billion in Social Security taxes. So for Americans, I guess Social Security, they paid into the pot of Social Security. Look at. I mean, it's just bizarre. 6.4 in Medicare taxes and 1.8 billion in unemployment insurance taxes. At a state and local level, slightly less than half, 46%, or 15.1 billion of the tax payments made by undocumented immigrants are through sales and excise taxes levied on their purchases. Most other payments are made through property taxes, such as those levied on homeowners and renters, 31% or 10.4 billion, or through personal or business income taxes, 7 million, billion. Okay, you look at the numbers. It's insane. I mean, when you break it down, not all of them are criminals. The vast majority are not. They're hardworking. But you got to think about, take out this equation into the U.S. economy. That's what this is about. That's why I say temporary work visas should be thought about. Not legalization, temporary work visas. Keep them working on our farms and in infrastructure areas. Monitor them. But let's go back, because there's more information on the other page. And these are actual stats. This is not bullshit. This is stats coming from the government. But that was in 2022. So some might say, well, those numbers are lies, because it's the deep state, you know. That's where we live today. Let me see the other one. It's crazy, the numbers. That breaks down that they are paying into Social Security, Medicare. It's unfucking believable. But there's another number, which is insane, how much they contribute to this right here. It is estimated that the spending or purchasing power of undocumented immigrants was nearly $300 billion in 2023. Say goodbye to that number. Undocumented immigrants are essential contributors to the economy. They're talking about how much they put in taxes. In 2023, undocumented immigrants' households paid $89.8 billion in federal, state, and local taxes, and held $299 billion in spending power. In total, immigration, both legal and undocumented houses, paid nearly $16.80 in every $100 tax dollars collected by federal. 20% they contributed to our economy. So before people jump off cliffs and screaming and going nuts, and I can dig more and more into numbers, a lot of people like me are like, when it happened, get the criminals, get the gang members, get the cartels, get these fuckers out. The worst of the worst. Or not even the worst of the worst. Anyone with a criminal background, get them out. But when you cross that threshold, that's going too far. There's a legal way to do this, a better way to do this. Showing up at people's hearings when they're going to try to get asylum through the legal process, showing up at the court and detaining them without due process and saying, nope, you're not going to, in the middle of their court case, that doesn't matter. We're going to ignore the law, due process, but we're going to round them up. The law is the law. They're bypassing the law right now in a lot of instances. People are not getting their due process. Even they're human beings, even though they're undocumented, and some people say of the word illegal. Yes, but they are going through due process too. Some are asylum seekers. There's a lot of, they're in the middle of a court case. And in the middle of their court case, showing up for court, they're being rounded up and detained. So are they given fair due process that they should get? No. So think about this. What that is going to cost our economy. How do we replace 300, $400 billion that they are a part of in this economy? Who's going to put that money up? You hear on the flip side, oh, we spend so much money on housing, medical, food, to take care of them. Well, that's by your choice to do that way. There's other ways to do it in a more sensible manner. But how much are you spending per year to house them and do all this compared to how much they were contributing to the economy? And by what is the scale there? The cost that they're claiming that it costs to spend to take care of them in housing and feed them and shelter them in cages, can't be that much. The food, can't be that much. Compared to the amount of money that they contributed to the economy here. That shit don't add up. It just doesn't. Now the solution is America first. We need to get Americans to work and replace them at these jobs. You would think that makes sense, right? Higher wages. They're not going to get the pay that they're paying now for a lot of these undocumenteds. It's going to cost them more money. That's even if Americans want to do this hard work. And the answer is those healthy people on welfare. They're going to have to make it really enticing to work on a farm. Because that is hard work. And it's, brutal in the heat, whatever. I want to see how this turns out. In construction, I'm sure they'll find Americans to do construction because that pays pretty good, right? But remember, when you hire them, it's cheap labor. So if it costs the farmers or any company more, landscapers, whatever, you're going to pay more too. That's the bottom line here. That's the whole point of this conversation. Everything is going to go up. Everything. By all the different ramifications of everything that's going on right now, everything is going up. And that's just the way it's going to be. If you want to be happy and you want to, some people love it. They love looking at the videos of people getting round up, windows getting broken on their cars, dragging them out of cars and all this shit on American streets. Not criminals, just undocumented people. Showing up at schools, taking the kids, homes. This guy, this clown, which is just up, I can't even believe it, going along with ICE at homes. Dr. Phil, going along and filming shit. What is going on? Do Americans think this is, forget about MAGA. MAGA loves it. But do the other rest of the majority of the country, which makes up of like 65%, are you cool with all this that's going on right now? As an independent, I am not. I'll make that clear right now. I am not cool with the things that are going on right now. This is not what I voted for in fucking November. I could tell you that right now. I'm not happy with what's going on right now and everything else. And there are a lot of things because I have my personal reasons. The solar, destroying solar. That's a big one. Destroying weather information, data. I've been a weather nut since I was a little kid, and they're destroying it. Absolutely gutting it. And other areas, EPA, environmental protection. There are so many things going on right now that I'm saying, I did not vote for this. And the crazy rollout of the tariffs, and then using tariffs on in a political means, saying, and another thing too that's just fucking bizarre. Putin is so smart, he threw it in Trump's brain about the elections again. If you were president, this would have never happened. He totally pushed Trump's buttons. Now all you hear is Trump about mail-ins. Putin is so intelligent, such a professional KGB. He knew how to trigger Trump And look where Trump has been going with it now. Because Putin said. He almost quoted Putin word for fucking word. That's how Putin's got him. Does people not realize that? Putin's got him in his head. And Putin's smiling and laughing. He triggered him. Oh my God. You think Putin said that? Because you know how Trump always says, well, I didn't start the war. Biden started the war. You know. Yeah, well, Putin says, you know what? You're right. There wouldn't have been a war. Fucking so KGB perfect. And then throwing in the election stuff. If it was up to Putin, Putin would say to him, you know what Putin would said to him? Oh, I don't know how the world works, huh? Oh, are you a MAGA? I don't know how the world works. Oh, we're going to talk about globalism now? I don't know how the world works. It's so common sense in your face. Oh, so you explain to me. You're leaving out the rest of it on what's happening there and why. Okay, I'm talking specifically about what's going on in this country, not in what's going on around the world right now. Because a lot of countries and the rest of the world look in the United States with disdain. They don't like what we're doing right now, the rest of the world. I'm leaving out the rest of the world. Okay, I'm not going to get into that because you're going to throw me off what I'm talking about. But I respect what you're saying. I do know global, but I'm not talking about the global affairs right now. I'm talking about USA. And hello, Audrey. Well, right now, if you look, and I've seen a lot of countries are scrambling for the prices rising in their countries too. They're freaking out. But anyway, with Putin, it does all matter, but it matters what this president does on a global scale, how it affects everyone globally. So, you know what Putin will say? Listen, and this is coming from a dictator. This is coming from a dictator. Maybe you shouldn't have any elections at all. Maybe you should stay. I'm waiting for Putin to put that in his brain if it hasn't already been put in his brain already. You could be like me. President kind of for life. And have real rigged elections. And you could have as much power as I do. Because he admires it. This is the stuff, I mean, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, here we go. Here we go. Another thing too is, with the NATO pressure, I get it. I can understand in a way how Russia feels like they're caged in and their backs to the wall because they don't want that NATO presence around them. But at the same time, Russia wants to reclaim all that territory they lost during the fall of the Soviet Empire. You know they want that shit back. You know Putin wants it back. So there's two sides. There's always two sides to look at things. Right now, you got to keep an eye on what's going on in Iran and Israel because that shit could flare up any day. It's getting more tense. The rhetoric is getting worse again. And Taiwan, and I used to hear this all the time from people because I do shows and they talk about, oh, they're waiting for the tide, the perfect tide to do the invasion, China, on Taiwan. It probably will happen in April or May under Biden. Taiwan should be freaking scared to death right now. Scared to death. Scared to death. Because they're saying, you know what? China could take us. And America, no wars. They're not going to start a war over us. Has no real interest of America. They're not going to get involved. They're not going to start a war with China, will they? You think? I mean, how much of a challenge will they give China if China moved on Taiwan? What do you think? I say no way. Goodbye, Taiwan. China's taking that shit back. I would say probably within the next couple of years, China's making a move on Taiwan. And there might be a sweet deal behind the scenes to allow it to happen. We got to see where this goes. Russia, Putin does not look at Zelensky as a legitimate elected leader. But who the fuck thinks that Putin is a legitimately elected leader? Killing his opponents, poisoning them. I mean, really? Are we going to compare Putin and Zelensky and the different status that they have in their countries? Are we? Are we going to compare Putin to anyone? No. No way. And corruption is everywhere. It's here. It's in our country. It's everywhere. But to compare which is the less of the two evils here, are you kidding me? It's not even close. And that's what the sympathizers are like, oh, it's not a legitimate election in Ukraine. All this. Oh my God. Oh, they are not the same. Headband. They are not the same. Putin is like the president of life. Anybody that threatens him, he puts them in prison or they end up dead. Yes, like somebody's saying in here, Stalin led the Soviet Union with iron fist for 30 years. You got to remember where he comes from. Putin was there when it fell. What was the guy's name after Gorbachev that took over? The drunk Russian. I can't think of it. Putin was there. Putin made that shit happen where that guy was gone. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. Putin seized power. Mr. KGB. And he wants Russia back. He wants the Soviet Union bloc back. Period. And all the money that's invested in that too. Because there's a lot of money in Ukraine. There's a lot of resources there. Like the deal that we made for minerals, supposedly, allegedly. COVID is a whole different ball game. Because people will say COVID was a hoax, all that. It depends who you talk to. Yeltsin, thank you, Boris Yeltsin. That's his first name. Yeltsin, yeah. It was Yeltsin, Audrey, you're right. Oh, thank you for that. And to say I'm wrong and you're right does not make that right, because everybody has an opinion. So I'll just say that, headband, right out. That's your opinion that I'm wrong. Doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't make you right either. Doesn't make you wrong either. It's just your opinion, just like mine. Like assholes, we all have one. And I'm not trying to get angry at you, headband. I'm just saying, you have your point. It's fine. You have your, but you don't just say somebody's wrong because you don't agree with it. That's the problem in this fucking country as it is. Everybody thinks they're right and everybody else is wrong. There's compromise. There's communication. There are ways to talk about things. And that's the problem, because then it gets heated because they take a stance, the other side takes a stance, and nothing gets resolved. Just like you wait, and I got to get off because I got to go to a meeting. You wait. Already it's affecting this country with the tariffs. You wait a couple of months and you see already in the supermarket everything's going up. Already everywhere things are going up. It's going to get worse. After the stockpiles that they did and they stocked up to prepare for this are running out, and now they're going to have to pay the tariff rates. And companies that swore they were never going to raise prices and eat the cost, like Home Depot, is saying, we're going to have to raise prices. Walmart, we're going to have to raise prices. All these other big corporations, we're going to have to raise prices. Consumers are going to pay. I thought prices were going to come down. I thought everything was going to get better. No. It's going to get worse. And anybody who tries to sugarcoat that is in Earth 2. And like I said, Headman, I'm not getting upset or anything with you. I hear you. I understand your points. You know what I'm saying? I understand. No, Amo, you should say it looks like Bill's getting angry. No. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has an opinion. And those opinions should be respected. Even if they differ from yours, everybody's voice matters unless it's just totally irrational and insane. And threatening. And crossing those lines. That's different. But everybody's opinion matters. Because that's how a conversation starts. Difference of opinions, talking about the stuff that's going on. Not just arguing with each other and yelling at each other and thinking, I'm right, you're wrong, or you're wrong, I'm right. No. There's always gray areas in a lot of things where a discussion needs to be had. It's not simple black and white. There's a lot of issues. Things are more complicated than what might look as simple as not. You know what I mean? No, are you crazy? A mole comes in here and stirs this shit up in the chat and YouTube. He likes to do that. I'm not. What's up, Shatan? Audrey, I get it. But the thing is, anytime you talk politics, people get passionate about it. They have their, like I said, their opinions. It's very passionate. It's not an easy thing. It's one of those things. I wrote President Trump. So he says, so every country was in lockstep instantly over COVID. I wrote President Trump. I have the letter. I can prove it. Our dependency. I wrote him. And you know what happened a few weeks later? He made a deal with Kodak to start to grow a lot of the medicinal plants. Mold, you remember this, right? You were there when I wrote the president. Remember? You were there. And I said that China and India, because this was the big thing over, I forgot what it was called, that treatment supposedly for COVID. But a lot of the medicinal products come from China and India that we depend on. And I wrote him a letter. Listen, we need to stop the dependency coming from overseas, especially when it comes to medicinal products. Basic ingredients for even the stuff here over the counter. I swear to you, a few weeks later, I read that he made a deal like in the hundreds of millions with Kodak to start manufacturing and growing those plants here. I was like, oh shit, did I have anything to do with that? I wrote the president 4 times. I never wrote Biden, just to be clear. I've tried to write the president now, but he may not have the same White House correspondence people there like it used to, but my letters were getting attention. Like, I commended him, and I still think it should happen. And it's a little different than what's going on today. This is what I agree to. In the city nearby, in 2018, I think it was, they came with a raid with ICE, FBI, ATF, local, state police, and went into the town, that city, and they rounded up the gang members, the drug dealers, and illegals, or undocumented. That instantly made that city safe. They arrested over 100 of them. MS-13, Latin Kings, Crips, Bloods, all that. Right here. I commended him. Do you know what happened that night? He went on Sean Hannity, a town hall, and referred to some of the things I said in my letter. I was like, oh, no. True story. True story. And to think that it started in a market, that shit got out. That was weaponization. And I don't want to even get into that because I'm on the YouTube and you can't say certain things in relation to that because you'll get struck or removed. Even now, when you talk about the pandemic, you can't, trust me. Just why ask all the people that went from YouTube to Rumble because of it. They lost their channels. So that's a whole different thing, Headman. A lot of people, they got their channels removed and banned or struck over that. So I'm careful when it comes to that subject that you threw in there. I try not to touch that. Unless I'm on Rumble alone. That's different. But we're on 2 YouTubes right now. You know, she says Oreos were invented in 1912. I'm allergic to Oreos. I can't eat Oreos. There's something in the cookie that gets me very ill. I don't know what it is. I never really looked into what it was, but I get very sick eating Oreos. I can't eat Oreos. It's so sad. What are you talking about, Amo? Who? Well, I will say this to you, Headband. What organization, if you're going that angle, had a lot to do it? The WHO, the World Health Organization. I'm just going to say that. You know that. If you're going where I think you're going, they had a big role in that. That's why we pulled out. I'll just say that without getting into too much on it. But you know what I'm talking about. But yes, thank God the storm doesn't look like it's going to impact directly, like landfall. Yes, you know where I'm going with that. So I see we definitely agree on that one. I'm not, like I said, that's a topic that you can get yourself into some. It's a shame that I have to refrain from talking about it, but I do. On a platform. See, Facebook, they kind of backed off a little bit, but not the other one. The other one is still. But I'm on Rumble right now. But I need to get off because I got to go to a meeting. But the storm, thank God, it looks like it's going to have impacts for riptide, currents, wind, maybe some storm surge in some areas, especially on those islands, the Outer Banks. But thank God, Erin looks like it's continuing to curve out and away. Thank God. That is the main thing. I mean, oh my God. But and I'm going to change the topic because I don't want to really piss anybody off. It's too late, right? It's too late already. All right, so let's take a look before I get off because I got to go work. I got to work all day. Today's a rough day. All right, so that's now. Look at that. Look how close. What a close call. Look at that. Look how close. But still, look at these Outer Banks, which have been mandatory evacuated. That's been mandatory evacuated. And it should be, because there's going to be a lot of water flowing into here, regardless if the hurricane's way out here. Look at the winds coming out, because this is actually, technically, this quadrant here is like the strongest, and the wraparound. That's what you usually worry about, the onshore flow. But thank God it's almost running parallel, but not for those islands. They're exposed. They're not protected. So there is a concern here for that. They were saying some waves could be as high as 15 to 20 feet, even north of here. So you know you had to evacuate those islands. That's a lot of water. But basically, thank God this storm didn't come in, because this would have been devastating for millions of people. Especially after what happened in North Carolina and some other areas last year. So thank God the storm is going to, even though we will feel the effects, because it's going to interact with this cold front, that we're going to get heavy rain here. You see that? The impact is going to be felt even up here, because it's interacting with a low pressure to the north. It's just reinforcing it. So we're getting, and it could be very windy here too. Because of that, there's a low pressure up here somewhere, but it's not as organized. So we have concerns even here. This is tomorrow. And then it starts to move away. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the radar. Then I'm going to get the heck off because I'm going to be in trouble. So there's the storm that I'm talking about. Here's the front. And this is the rain associated with that. Well, when this comes through and this comes up, it's just going to reinforce the weather here. And this is not a big, it doesn't go that far into the future. But we're going to get it tonight. It's going to, you too, Mike. You're going to get it too. It's going to affect Massachusetts for sure. But with this rain, look at this rain. Because the low pressure's up here. But actually, let's look at satellite. That makes it, it's a mess. It's hard to see it. Where's the rotation? Sometimes it's hard to see it with all the cloud cover. Okay, I'm trying to find it. It looks like there's a spin down here. It looks like it's somewhere in here. It's hard to tell. You always look for the rotation. It's really hard to tell. It's there. It's right there where I said. But it's hard to see it. There's the low. And you got the hurricane way down here. But a low is counterclockwise. So as this low spins off, it's just going to enhance the wind and the rain coming from the effects of the hurricane. So it's going to reinforce it. It's weird. Because now the low is there, but it's disorganized. It's pretty, because the hurricane helped shred it. But the influence is there. So we're going to get it. Alexa, what's the weather for today?
It's currently 66 degrees and cloudy in Newburgh, New York. Today's high will be 68 degrees with a low of 57, and there's a 100% chance of rain.
That's it. Alexa, how much rain is expected today and tonight?
Today and tonight, Newburgh is expecting 0.96 inches of rain during
That's
the
not
day
bad.
and 0.35 inches
An
at
inch of
night.
rain. See how you end up self-censoring?
Today in Newburgh,
Alexa, stop.
steady.
See how you end up self-censoring just to keep your channel? Of course I'm going to keep my channel, because my channel is vital, not for talking about this kind of stuff. It's vital for what people watch, is sky watching and all that stuff. I'm not going to jeopardize the channel to talk about politics. If I want to just strictly talk politics, I'll end up just streaming to Rumble. But you do have to refrain. That's like TikTok. I had 100,000 people watch the Skywatch, the Perseids. But you got to, on TikTok, it's even way worse. You have to watch certain words, phrases. Like you can't say dead. You got to say undead. So, yes, there's a responsibility to it too. And is it control? Absolutely. It's a manipulation. But if I really want to spew and go crazy, I could just stream to Rumble. There's other outlets I can do that to. But I'm not going to jeopardize my channel. And if I really thought about numbers of people watching and stuff, I wouldn't be streaming here at all right now. I'd be on TikTok, where yesterday on my bike ride, I had hundreds of people watching. How many people are here right now? 5? 10? So if it was really about people watching, I wouldn't even be here right now. Would I? I do it because I want to. Not because I'm looking to get hits or clicks or whatever. I do this because I want to. Not to please anyone. I'm doing it for myself. And if anybody's here to hang out, fine. But I'm not going to jeopardize my channel that I've known friends here for over a decade and jeopardize it, because it's more than just content. It's about the people that come here, and I know for years, if I lose the channel, that ends that. It's more about friendships and community. It's like I said, it's more than just the content. At least that's the way I look at it. Because like I said, if I was strictly thinking about getting clicks and hits, I wouldn't even be here right now. There's a lot of people that would do it the other way. I had 100,000 people watch me and watch that TikTok for the Perseids. 100,000. And I'm not on TikTok right now. So, like I said, if it was about the numbers, you think I'd be streaming to this? Regardless of content? Or would I be like looking at numbers and thinking more about, wow, I want to become Mr. Popular? I do this because I enjoy it. And if people are here to enjoy it with me, that's great. If not, that's fine too. That's the way I look at it. But I understand what you're saying. I understand your point. That how would you want to be refraining from saying certain things just to keep a channel? Well, you know, that's just the way it is. Now, there are other options to avoid that. Like I said, I'm streaming to Rumble right now. I could shut down the 2 YouTube channels right now and go strictly on Rumble and Twitch and spew whatever I want to say. I could easily do that instantly if I was to go into that direction. I have that choice. So it's a little bit more complicated than that. Headband. If you know what I mean. And everybody has to do it too. A lot of people won't even stream to YouTube anymore because of that. I get it. That's why Rumble became such an important platform. As I mentioned, during what happened in 2020, a lot of people were saying things on their channels, got removed, banned, and then Rumble comes along, and a lot of the people that were on YouTube went to Rumble. For that reason. And people refuse to do a lot of stuff on YouTube for that reason. So I get it. But that's a choice. If you know what I mean. But I totally understand what you're saying. No. I totally understand what you're saying. And it's a valid point. It is a definite valid point. But, you know, it's not often that I spew and rant and go crazy talking about this, because you have to understand, as a person like me who's an independent, a moderate, everyone's going to hate me. So obviously, if I wanted to kiss ass, I would be kissing ass. But I'm not going to do that because it's not who I am. I'm going to speak my opinion in the middle. Not here or not here. Here. And you know that pisses off both sides. So it's a lose-lose, because I'm going to pick on both. Definite. It's lose-lose. Like Audrey said, she said, I'm not a political person. A lot of people that come here don't want to hear me talk about it because they hear it all fucking day on TV, see it on TV, or watch podcasts all day about this stuff. They don't want to, and it's my fault. It's really my fault, and I own it for even bringing it up, because people, they're not really coming to hear me rant about, oh, is he serious? They're not coming here for that. They're coming here to just get their minds off a lot of other stuff that's going on too. You know what I mean? So that's my fault for even bringing it up in the first place. I should just maybe stick to my Skywatches and gaming and music and all that other stuff, which is what a lot of people come to hang out for. If I want to do the political stuff, maybe I just stop talking about it on YouTube and just strictly do it on Rumble. That might be, you actually made me think about moving forward doing it that way. So actually what you said is helpful to me. People also have to be able to take criticism, advice. What's up, Hat? The cat. And take it for what it's worth. Now, if it's somebody coming from a troll or something, that's different. But people, I've known you a long time, Headband. And I respect what you say. I respect everybody that's in here right now. Every one of you. And what you just made me think, what you said made me think. I took what you said, and now I'm definitely reconsidering how I move forward when I stream on YouTube. So, actually, what you said in chat was constructive to me. So, I'll just make that point. And I think that's what I'm going to do moving forward. No more on YouTube talking this, because I really can't. And I love all of you too. How long? Look, sometimes, you know, I am human just like everybody else. We have emotions, and I got to go. Oh my God, I got a meeting in 10 minutes. Sometimes we get riled up. You let people push your buttons. Not in this case. I'm not saying that. But we tend to let our emotions get the best of us. You have to be contained, have that self-control. It's great to have self-esteem and self-confidence. That's a must. But at the same time, you have to be open to what other people say. And listen and not just talk. And that's the problem. Communication breakdown. And God forbid we should not have different opinions, because then that's it, we're done. That's what makes us so important. Freedoms, independence, freedom of speech, all the freedoms that's most of us here have, because a lot of people don't. There's a lot of people out there that don't have those freedoms. Or they're censored completely, shut down from the outside world. But that's important. To me, too. It's important. And like I said, Amol's a ball buster, but he's a good friend. He does that. But when the chips fall, he's as loyal as a friend as you'll ever find. And I'm being honest right now. Michael, you, Headband, Amol, some of the people in here in chat have been here for a decade or more. Think about that. We've known each other for a decade. I value that. You know when it hurts? When you know somebody so long and out of one disagreement, they throw it all down the toilet. All that over something stupid, petty, silly. Hello, Nova Foxy Stardust. You know what I mean? That to me is like, me, I'm a peacemaker. Now, I may be just as equally wrong in what happened. I will take responsibility. I will admit I'm wrong. But at the same time, you know what? That was just stupid. But you're dealing with another person. They have a totally different makeup, personality. They may not see it the same way you do. And then you have to accept it and move on. You know? Exactly. And that's what makes us so special. The differences we have. For real. We all grew up under different circumstances, different environments, different settings, different ways of life. We're brought up all differently. We have different things that affected our lives. You know what I mean? It's part of our makeup. It makes us, even our experiences, good and bad, make us to who we are today. It's life's experiences. But they're important, and to learn from them. I think hopefully people get wiser over time from all those experiences and knowledge. There's a lot of people that have hate in their hearts and are angry and are miserable and are sadistic. And we don't know what happened in their lives that made them that way. But you have to remember there's people out there like that too. So, there's a lot of people out there that are suffering too. Financially, whatever it is. So, totally agree. But our independence is what makes us who we are. For real. And we can't lose that. Because it's all about manipulation, control of the masses, whatever they can do to control it, they will. And it's up to everybody that's watching and listening to stand on your own ground and be the person that you are with independent thought. And just don't toe the line and be the mice following the piper. Speak out when you have to. If you see something that you don't think is right, even a gut feeling, I'm not with this. You have to speak out about it. You have to make that point known. But some people don't, because there are people that are leaders and followers. The followers will just toe the line. A leader stands up when it's really difficult and hard to do and speak out. You know what I mean? And yes, we need to be together despite our differences. When people come over the house, oh my God, I gotta go. When people come over the house, we sometimes talk politics in a very respectful way. I don't want it to become a main thing because you never know if it gets elevated and people start yelling at each other and it's happening in my house. I don't want that to happen. But the majority of the time, vast majority, we're not talking about politics. We're just hanging out, having a good time, joking around, There's so much I think we have more in common than not. And we should really try to build on the bridges, make them stronger, and work on the things that not so much, and agree to disagree respectfully. You know what? That's your opinion. I totally respect it. I may not agree with it, but I totally respect it because that's your opinion. That's it. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to get into a crazy shouting match or I hate you, I'm not defriending you, or a family member. You get it? It almost happened to me at my brother's house. I felt like I was being ganged. The conversation switched to politics, and I was like, oh, are you a Biden supporter? I was like, where's that coming from? Because they were all, Trump supporters. This happened last year. And I didn't go there for that. You know what I mean? I didn't go there for that. Don't make assumptions of who I mean, right away, I got pissed. And I stayed over at my brother's house. It was not my brother. I stayed over at my brother's house that night. I spent the rest of the day away from them in the basement with foster girls that my stepmother, she's a foster parent. I stayed with those girls in the basement watching the Yankee game. I went to bed. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and left my brother's house. I was tight. I was going to drive home, but it was already too late. I said, I'm not going to drive 2 hours home. But see, like that, it's not necessary. It's so unnecessary. There are family members right now that won't even talk to each other based on politics. Or friends. Or co-workers. Whatever. I don't want to go there. On my social medias, I never talk politics, ever. I'm not going to be like others because I don't want to get drawn into the drama and the fight that it's going to turn into. You know what I mean? Because it always does. Oh, you're one of them? Did you write? I mean, look. Like Amol and Michael and some know. I wrote to President Trump. I have the letters. I can prove it. I never wrote to Biden. Does that mean I favored him? I seen President Trump in his first term as a person that would listen. And he did. At least the White House correspondence people did. And I truly believe in my heart that a lot of them showed the people that were writing in, because I was very respectful. And I was very pointed and blunt on what my point that I was trying to come across. And I honestly thought at the time, because I wrote 4 times, and the last response, which I swear I wish I had, it was the most awesome letter that I got. It was not a generic response that I got the first 3 times. It was more personal. The 4th response from the White House. And I was like, okay, this is a little bit more intense. This is because they got into details about me personally. I was like, oh shit. So I didn't write Biden. I don't think, are you kidding? Do you think they're going to sit there and read him people's correspondence? No. No way. If he could get through the day, it'd be a surprise. I'm not, I'm saying that, in a way, but really? But I, in my heart, I do believe that they were presenting what they felt were important letters coming from people, citizens, to him. I truly believe that. And I'm going to try again. I'm going to try to write the president again. And it felt really good to get that. I always got a response, but it was more generic. It's like it's a typical, because I know I could compare them. It was more generic, but the last one was like, wow. And it was in October of 2020. And yes, headband, that is one of the best things. The powers wish us apart. Divide and conquer is age old. We need to stand together more now than ever. I totally agree with that. But the problem is, we're so far apart here. I don't know how long it's going to take for people to come back together and even communicate with each other. Forget about compromise and working with each other. We're so far wide apart right now. I don't know how long it's going to take before that gap starts to close up again and communication is established and compromise and people respecting each other. It's going to take a long time, I think, before we get to even here, because it's here. It looks like it's going further apart, actually. That's a concern. People need to remember, at least for us here in the United States, and me, I was born in Manhattan. I'm a proud American. All of us are proud, I would think, of being a citizen of this country. It's actually special because this is a great country, regardless of what you hear. And yes, like any other thing, there are issues, serious issues, like any other place. There's always serious issues. But when people are just not working together and trying to make it better for everyone, and not just segments, that's a problem. There are ways to resolve issues, but the only way you do that is by working together and resolving them together and moving the country forward. This nonsense, flip-flopping, is never going to get anything done because this is going to just continue to go on and on and on. Whoever's in power, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, because the back and forth attacks, all the shit, it's worse than ever. It's not going to get better unless somebody out there, I don't know who that person is, can find a way. And I always said this, wouldn't it be nice to have a Republican and a Democrat on the same ticket? To try to even experiment with that? To at least try to have them work together? Or something like that? Something's got to give. Because the way it's going on right now, it looks like it's going to get worse than better. There's got to be a way to bring people together. I don't know how. I don't have a crystal ball. But something's got to give. Because I don't think this can be sustained. I don't see this sustainable the way it's currently at play right now. I don't. I honestly don't. I mean, there's people that actually hate each other. I hate MAGA. I hate liberals. I hate. it's so much anger, so much negative energy. Why don't we put that negative energy to positive energy, constructive energy, working together, coming up with compromise. It's not I win, you lose, I win, because it affects everyone. This bullshit about that is ridiculous. And the rhetoric of hate, gutter, this is not the way it should be. You know, that's just my opinion. But that's a utopian vision. I don't even think that's realistic. Not today. As sad as it is for me to say that, I don't see that as being something that's feasible in the current way things are. I try to be optimistic, but it's hard to be an optimist when all this shit is going on. It really, really is. Yeah, I gotta go to my meeting. Oh my God, I'm gonna be late. Anyway, my love to everybody. Because truly, that's the kind of person I am. I'm very sociable. Just look at me on my bike ride yesterday. I was recording it on TikTok. And I went away to talk to a guy with a Doberman picture saying how beautiful his dog was. I didn't know the guy was, and we started talking for like 15 minutes. Just like that. That's the way I am. I like to engage with people, talk with people. No, I'm not going to go up to the guy and talk about his dog and then say, what do you think about politics? I don't think that's going to happen. But it's good to communicate with people. Another thing, too, is it's good to help others. Ask my neighbor. Do you know what my neighbor said to me a couple days ago? You've done more for me than my own brother in his whole life. You've done more for me as a neighbor than my brother did during his whole life. I was like, wow. That's what makes you feel good as a person, that you're doing good for others. And there's no gain. The gain is, it's not like you're going to get something in return. Even though we have a great relationship, the gain is you make yourself a better person by doing that. That's, to me, if you do, it's almost like the good deed of the day. If you do something good, that's good for you. It's good for your own self-being. It's not like you need to gain something out of it, material or something else. It's good for you. For you know what I mean? For yourself right here. Here. Caring is important. Love, compassion, tolerance, respect. But there's also boundaries that people should not cross. They have to respect those boundaries. So it's, like I said, everything is more complicated. You know what I mean? Things are complicated. But regardless, see this door? I don't care if the person's gay, straight, whatever. All people are welcome through my door. Republican, liberal, independent, I don't care who you are. If you're a good person, you're welcomed in this house. Black, white, any nationality, any religion, even if you're not religious at all. That means nothing to me. It means who you are as a person. If you're a good person, I don't even give a shit. If you don't even know how to speak the language, and I'll try to communicate with you, I'll try that. I will go. That's just the way it is. So I am not for hate. I'm about bringing people together. And when Pine Bush happens here every year, people come together from all walks of life, different opinions, different political affiliations, all that, but we all have a great time together. Ask any of them. That's what it's about. Bringing people together and having a great time together as a unit. Despite our differences, we all can come together from all over and have a great time together. And with that, I'm out. Have a lovely day, everybody. Be well, be blessed, be safe. And again, love to all of you. Michael, Audrey, Amol, Headband, anybody else who may be Nova, Foxy Stardust on Twitch. Hat the Cat. He always does that. I don't know. Hat the Cat comes here with looks like a dancing banana. Anyway, I gotta go to a meeting. So I don't know if I'll be back tonight. because I got to work all day. But if I do, it'll be after 10. So again, be well, be blessed, be safe. All of you have a great rest of your day. There he goes with it again. The dancing banana, he put more. And KJ, I forgot KJ, I forgot. All of you have a great day. Be well, be blessed, be safe. I'll see everybody later. Till then, good night.